So welcome to our transitioning to a university workshop for fall 2024. So this workshop is intended for students who are going to be starting at the university in fall 2024. Okay. If you're not transferring quite yet, that's totally okay. There's a lot of information that will apply to you once your time comes. So please take notes. Some of the topics that we are going to cover today is making sure that we're taking care of everything that needs to be taken care of at our community colleges before we transition to the university. So tying up loose ends, applying for your degree if you're earning a degree, CSU general ed certification or a GETC certification, requesting official transcripts. We'll talk a little bit about acceptance and denial, the appeal process, the UC waitlist, financial aid, housing, successful transition, and support services at the university. And feel free to, at any point, to stop me if you have questions or type your questions in the chat. So super important is that we are updating the universities where we've been accepted to, or if you're still waiting to hear back, if there's any changes to your schedules, to any information, any new information, please reach out to your admissions office at those universities and provide them with updates if you haven't done so already. Most of you should have completed the transfer update for CSU and for UC. So if there isn't any changes made after you made those updates, there's no reason why you need to provide any updates. But if something happened over spring where maybe you changed the class or you dropped the class, you want to make sure that you provide that information to the universities. Request transcripts when they are required. So the universities will be requiring for you to submit transcripts. When they make this request, please follow their directions and get those transcripts submitted in a timely manner. If you're going to be earning a degree at your community college, you will need to go through the application process. Each campus does things a little bit different, so just make sure that you're checking in with a counselor at your college and ensuring that you're submitting the required documentation or forms to earn your degree if you're going to be earning one. Apply for general education certification if it applies to you. Like I mentioned in the past, general education is not a requirement for transfer. However, many of you will be completing all of your general education. And if you are, you want to make sure that you go through the certification process. So some information I wanted to provide you in regards to UC admission for fall 2024 is that most campuses have already made their decision and they put out specific deadlines. All campuses will notify students of their admission decision via your UC portal. Okay, so make sure that you're checking your portals at the UCs that you've applied to. And if you've been admitted to the UC, they will also provide you a letter via mail. Okay. Financial aid offers will begin to be made. All campuses will notify students of the preliminary or official financial aid award in your student portal. So not just for UCs, but CSU and any other campus that you've applied to, if you have a university portal, there should be a financial aid tab similarly to what your portals look like at your community colleges. You have a financial aid section. Your university portals will also give you a financial aid section. So make sure that you're checking those portals to get information about your financial aid award offer, or if there's any additional documentation that your university wants, they usually will provide you a notification there through your portal. Okay. Once you've decided where you're going, whether it's UC or CSU, you do need to submit a statement of intent to register. It's known as the SIR for the UCs. And for the UCs, that is due on June 1st at 11:59 p.m. Okay. So once you made your decision, make sure you've let the campus where you plan to attend in the fall know by submitting the SIR. Once you submit your intent to register, you do have to pay a deposit. However, students who qualified for the UC application fee waiver may also qualify to defer the deposit until your financial aid has been dispersed. Okay. If not, I believe the deposit is typically $250 to hold your spot, and that money should like once you start your semester, should be then moved over to either pay your tuition or pay for something that you owe at the university. We'll talk a little bit more about housing across the board, but if you are interested in living on campus, you're encouraged to apply. You do have to apply for on-campus housing if that's going to be your option for housing. And I have a document with all of this information listed where it provides you with the deadlines and the sites for the application for housing for each of the UC. So I'm going to be putting that in the chat once we get done with the workshop. That way you can download it and save it. You will also be required to submit final official transcripts, exams, results, and any other documents. So for US transfer students, your official transcripts from all colleges must be submitted. And if you have AP scores, you also need to submit that, okay? So final transcripts for UCs are due July 1st. AP scores and IGETC certification, if you're getting that, that's due by July 15th. All right, so now let's talk a little bit about requesting your official college transcript, okay? Again, super important, make sure that you're submitting your transcript by your university's deadline, okay? You'll want to send official transcripts now for any campuses that have requested in-progress transcripts. So some colleges, like Cal Poly, once they provided admission decisions, they requested transcripts. So if you had a campus who wanted transcripts now, that means you'll send in your current transcripts with your spring courses, but it doesn't show your spring grades because we're not done with spring semester. So once official final transcripts are required, you'll go ahead and send in new transcripts, and those transcripts will include your spring grades, okay? And again, make sure that you're following the deadline. So if you're doing in-progress transcripts, get those in by the deadlines, and then for your final transcripts, those are typically due June, July. Your universities will provide you with the specific deadline. You want to make sure to get those in on time, okay? Make note of this. This is so important. So any of you who have attended multiple colleges, okay, you are responsible for submitting transcripts from each of the colleges that you have attended to your university, okay? So if you've attended Cuesta and Hancock and Santa Barbara City, you've gone to multiple colleges, you'll need to submit a transcript from each of the colleges. I understand that many of you have sent your primary campus colleges transcripts from courses that you've taken elsewhere. So although your primary campus has those transcripts, your primary campus only sends transcripts from that institution. They will not send any other transcripts out for you. The reason for that is because once you send them and somebody opens transcripts, they're no longer official, right? So you'll have to request transcripts from each campus that you have attended. Don't miss this step. It could cost you your admission. So just be mindful of that and get everything in by the deadline. If you've attended a different college many years ago and maybe you haven't logged into the portal in a long time, attempt to log in so that you can ensure that you have access to those transcripts. That way you have time in case you have to reset passwords or get access to your account. You have time to work with that college to get the right access, okay? AP scores or IB scores are also required to be submitted. So if you reported any AP scores or IB scores, you want to make sure that you're logging into your College Board account to make those requests, okay? If you completed your AP scores, I want to say over 3 to 5 years ago, those scores have now been archived. So you do have to reach out to College Board in order to get them released, okay? So if that applies to you, get on this ASAP, contact College Board so that you can ensure that you have access to those transcripts. Again, you're responsible for sending transcripts by their deadline. That not following deadlines can result in your admission being rescinded. Any questions on transcripts? Okay.
Actually, just a quick question.
Yes, Tiffany.
Sorry. So like, let's say like they some like going to 2 colleges right now. Would it also be okay if I just get my transcript from one school sent to the other so that I could just send in one school's official transcript with all the classes right there?
No, it has to come from each of the campuses you have attended.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yes, of course. Any other question? That was a really good question. Other questions?
Yeah, I'm actually currently attending a STEM 100 class right now.
Yeah.
And I was wondering how to actually go onto the UC application site and update that. Is it like pretty simple process?
So to send your transcript, you should have received an email from the UC
Okay,
with
okay.
instructions of where to send them.
Okay.
Yes, so double check that email, and I believe they'll give you a link to click onto.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. With the information, you'll request them from your portal at your college. So you won't be uploading the transcripts.
Okay, sounds good.
So you'll request them from your college. So Lynette, I know you go to Hancock, so you'll request them from Hancock. You'll log into your Hancock portal, go into order transcripts, and then have your Hancock transcript be sent to the university who's requesting them.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I have a
You
question.
won't upload anything. Thank you for asking that, Lynette. Once your transcripts are opened either electronically or if it's in an envelope, once they're opened by somebody, they're no longer official, right? If they're opened by admissions, they're opening them, and for them, they're official, right? But let's say you send them to yourself electronically. The moment you get that email and you open it, the transcript is no longer official because you've opened it, right? So you wouldn't necessarily be able to upload that transcript because it's open and it's not official. So you'll want to make sure that you're sending them directly to the university who's requesting them. Thomas, did you have a question?
That is the question I'm gonna ask. That's what I did.
Okay.
Yeah,
Other
I
questions on
sent.
transcripts? This is super important. Okay. Alrighty. So as of now, you've all been offered conditional or provisional admission. Most campuses, this is their practice. They'll offer admission as conditional. And what this means is that they expect you to maintain passing grades in your spring semester, okay? So it is your responsibility to ensure that you pass everything that you were taking in the fall and updating them with that information. But most importantly for spring semester, so your current semester, you want to make sure that you get through all of your classes. Not getting through your courses, like failing, getting D's or F's, that can cause your offer of admission being rescinded, okay? So I'm gonna click on, oops, oh, it's not working. Yeah, it is. I'm gonna click on this link just to give you an example of a conditional admission. Actually, it's not on here. Here. Right here. So here's an example from CSU Long Beach of what it means to have a conditional admission. And it's normally based on self-reported information that you provide on your supplemental application for transfer. CSU Long Beach is one of the campuses that offer require supplemental applications. So they're going based off of that information, right? And then once you send in final transcripts, they're verifying that you've completed all of the requirements that you said you were going to complete. Okay, and that includes completing all of your spring courses. Okay, I'm going to jump back over to our PowerPoint. Oops.
Just a quick question.
Yes.
With the conditional and provisional, will it actually say those words?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
The letter that they sent might not say it, but if you go onto your portal, the portals I've seen, they always the one I've noticed is the conditional.
Okay, okay.
Okay. Let me click on the UC provisional. Yeah, so I think the UCs use the provisional term. And basically it means the same exact thing. It's provisional until the campus receives your final transcripts and verifies that you successfully completed all of your coursework. Alrighty. So if something happens over the spring semester and you're faced with an accentuating circumstance or you didn't pass the class, make sure to reach out to your university's admissions office, provide them with the information, let them know, what's going on, and then they'll be able to determine whether or not they're still able to offer admission, okay? So always communicate with the UC and CSU or whichever campus you've been admitted to if something doesn't go as planned in the spring or if something changes. All right. So if you received a denial notice, keep in mind that most campuses do offer admission appeals. So what you'll want to do is visit your university's admissions appeals site. Each campus has information about what you need to fulfill in order to complete an appeal. Go through all of the information, make sure that you understand what they expect you to do in order to go through the appeal process, and make sure that you have a valid reason because they have certain expectations. Each campus will be a little bit different, but make sure you have a reason that's valid for an appeal, okay? You will need to submit an appeal letter, connect with your counselor, with your faculty, with somebody who could provide you some feedback before you submit it to ensure that you're writing a strong appeal letter. And then, of course, before you submit the appeal, make sure that you have all of the required documentation gathered and submit everything by the deadline. Okay. And then just something to note for CSU appeals, you do have to have a minimum of 30 units completed. Okay, this shouldn't be a problem for anybody, but just something to keep in mind. If you've been denied to all of the CSUs that you've applied to, the CSUs do offer redirection. Redirection allows your application to be forwarded to another CSU that has more capacity for students. Students that are eligible for redirection are students who are either first-time freshmen, upper division transfer students, which that should be all of you. So if you're going to be completing 60 or more units by the end of the spring semester, you're considered an upper division transfer student, and any student with an associate's degree for transfer is also eligible for redirection, okay? If you have been accepted to a CSU, even if it's just one, you are not eligible to go through the redirection process, okay? So redirection will happen after all campuses have finalized admission decisions for the semester. You will receive an email offering an opportunity to redirect your application, usually in mid-April for fall and mid-November for spring, okay? If they identify that you're a student who's eligible for redirection, they'll provide you with all of the instructions via email in order to go through this process, okay? And they will allow you to go into your Cal State application and identify your first choice for redirection and then the second choice for redirection. Right here is the list of campuses that are going to be providing redirection for fall 2024. So let's say you applied to the campuses that you've applied to. If you didn't get into any of them, as long as you meet the upper division transfer requirements or you're earning an associate's degree for transfer, you'll have the opportunity to be redirected, okay? So once you've let the CSU know where you'd like your application to be redirected to, they will figure out if your first choice has the capacity to take you. If it doesn't, then they'll let you know and redirect it to your second option, okay? And once your application is redirected to the campus that you've selected, then they will provide you with an email in regards to the next process of things that you need to complete for admissions. Questions on redirection for CSU? Okay. All right, so the UCs offer wait lists to our students. All campuses except for Merced typically will offer wait lists for certain majors. Offers are typically extended in April, and you have to opt in by May 15 if you are wanting to be put on a wait list for the UCs. And they typically will notify you of your status as to whether or not you made it off the wait list by July 1st, okay? So you can accept waitlist offers from multiple campuses, but you can only accept one offer of admission for a UC campus. So even if you accept waitlist offers at a UC campus, you should still commit to a UC just as a backup plan, because what if you don't get off the waitlist, right? You want to have somewhere to go in the fall if you intend to transfer, right? So it's okay to add yourself to a waitlist for one UC, but then make sure that you have a backup plan. Once you accept the UC, you will have to pay the deposit, the $250 deposit for your SIR. But that fee is not refundable. So if you end up getting off the wait list at the campus that you're waitlisted for, then you would lose out on those $250. Okay, so just something to know, for information for you to have in case you're making these decisions. All right, financial aid. So I know a lot of students have had a few anxieties about financial aid and what the university is going to cost. So keep in mind that we are very aware that the tuition cost and fees at the UCs and CSUs is a lot more than what you are paying for at the community colleges. However, the federal and state government are also very aware of that. So usually, because it's more expensive at the universities, your financial aid award packages tend to be bigger, okay? But it's so important that you apply for financial aid, so FAFSA or the DREAM Act, whichever you qualify for, and you want to make sure that you get those applications submitted by the priority filing deadline, which is now May 2nd, just for this year, okay? Usually it's March 2nd, but because FAFSA and DREAM Act went through some changes, the priority deadline has been extended to May 2nd. If you haven't completed a FAFSA or DREAM Act for the 24-25 academic year, please, as soon as you get done with today's workshop, complete your FAFSA or DREAM Act, okay? I hope all of you have already completed it, so just make sure that on your FAFSA or DREAM Act that you've added all campuses that you've applied to. If you've already made your decision as to where you're going, as long as that campus is on there. If you're not sure about where you're going yet, it's okay to add every campus that you've applied to, including the community college that you're currently at, as a backup plan, okay? Search and apply for scholarships regularly and on an ongoing basis. Keep in mind, scholarships are free money for college, so you want to get in the habit of applying for scholarships often. Okay, here is a link to the student aid site with information about scholarships for your use. Because you're going to be going through many different changes in the fall semester, many of you are going to be moving away, some of you might be getting your own place. It's really important to think about what your finances are going to begin to look like, okay? So whenever you have a chance, I know you're busy with school, but begin to think about how you're going to budget your money and begin to create a budget for yourself now and start participating in tasks like shopping for groceries, buying the things that you need, thinking about, what are the things that you need now that maybe your parents help get for you that you may take for granted, like toilet paper and paper towels and cleaning supplies. Those are all things that once you transfer, if you're living on your own, you're going to end up being responsible for. So try to practice independent living and begin to pay attention and notice some of the things that you may get support with now that you may have to start doing on your own once you either move out or begin your journey at the university. Okay. And another great way to bring in additional funding for yourself is to take on a summer job or a summer internship to help with saving up money for the fall semester. Okay, so financial aid after transfer. So once you've completed your FAFSA or your DREAM Act and you've included the college or the university that you're going to be attending in the fall, each campus will receive your financial aid application. Because the FAFSA went through many changes, one of the updates that was made was they now give you a student aid index known as your SAI. And your student aid index will be listed on your FAFSA submission summary. So I believe you should all have access to this now if you've submitted a FAFSA. It sounds like FAFSAs have began to be processed, and most students have had theirs processed. So check on that. Your SII is an index number that is used to determine your eligibility for federal student financial aid. The number that's provided is not a dollar amount of aid that you'll be eligible for, or it's also not what your family is expected to contribute, okay? It's an index number that the government is using to determine what your need is going to be. So some students might have a negative SII, and this indicates that a student has a higher financial need, okay? It's a good practice to get onto your university's website, onto their financial aid page. Usually that's where you'll find their cost of attendance, and they'll list out the tuition cost, the fees, an estimate for transportation, books, housing. Get familiar with what the cost of attendance is at your campus, and you'll notice that there's certain things listed on the cost of attendance that you have no control over, right? Tuition is fixed. We can't change that. The fees, we can't change that. However, books and transportation, you might have a little bit more control over that, right? So when you look at those numbers, keep in mind that those are estimates. There's certain things where it might be costing you more, it might be costing you less, just depending on your spending habits, okay? Once your campus has your financial aid application, they will then take the cost of attendance and subtract it from your SAI to determine what your need is going to be. And then keep in mind that financial aid comes from different forms. Free aid are things like grants, scholarships, work study, and loans are also going to be part of your financial aid award package. Loans that are provided from your FAFSA, your California Dream Act, there'll be two types of loans usually. One is a subsidized loan and one is an unsubsidized loan. If you're going to be taking out loans to fund your education, guys, make sure that you are making informed decisions and doing your research on the type of loan that you're taking. But I will let you know that subsidized loans do not require that you pay interest while you're in school. So they're not accumulated interest while you're a student. Unsubsidized loans begin to accumulate interest the moment that you take them, okay? These loans are provided to you from by the federal government, so you have to qualify for federal aid in order to be eligible for these. These loans are usually provided at a lower interest rate in comparison to getting a loan from the bank. So if you are going to need a loan, I would definitely make this your first option, but of course do your research and make sure you have all the information you need before you're committing yourself to pulling out a loan, okay? And your financial aid office is at the university. We'll be able to answer questions that you might have regarding loans, grants, and scholarships. Questions?
Actually, yes.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure I send them send Cal Poly an official transcript, but for some reason when I just checked the portal and it's still not like it's saying still awaiting the transcript.
Okay. Good. Thank
Do
you
know
for
how
asking
long it
that
will
question,
take?
Thomas. So transcripts take time to be prepared and sent out, right? And then once they arrive to the university, they have their own process of getting the transcripts, evaluating them, and putting them into the system. So sometimes, although you've already sent the transcript, it might still show that they're waiting for that document. I would recommend that you reach out to the admissions office just to make sure that they have it. But just do keep in mind it can be a process, but just to ensure that you're covering all your bases, I would reach out to the admissions office and ensure that they received it, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Alrighty. Okay, so a lot of information on how you should be keeping track of the financial aid process. So first, of course, find out how each of your campus's financial aid offices are communicating with you. Usually they're gonna require that you check your portals, or they're gonna be emailing you. So I would recommend that you're doing both regularly, okay? If a campus contacts you, and they're requiring more documentation, get that documentation to them ASAP, or whatever information they're looking for. Get them what they need as soon as possible, because sometimes that can hold up your award package being created. Okay. Usually you'll hear from your financial aid office with an award before the deadline to make a decision as to where you're going to be attending in the fall. Okay, so sometimes students will use their award packages to determine where they're attending. So that's something that you can do in case you're having a hard time choosing. You do have to accept or decline your financial aid award package, and you'll do this through your portal. Typically, all of the grants are automatically accepted for you, but double check and make sure that you are doing that. It's the loans that you would have to go in and either accept or decline. So after you've been admitted, if your personal or family circumstances change, your financial aid budget, like if things change, you can reach out to your financial aid office for more information as to what steps you should take to submit an appeal to have your financial aid information re-reviewed. Okay. So keep in mind, for this upcoming academic year 24-25, you utilize your family's financial information from 2022. Okay, so if anything has changed since then and it's significant financial changes, you definitely want to connect with the university. And keep in mind, you need to apply for FAFSA and DREAM Act every single year, right? So this current year is a 24-25, that you have up to May 2nd as a priority deadline. Next year, it will be 25-26. You'll want to make sure that you apply for financial aid then as well, okay? All right, so begin to think about your housing options. Are you going to be living off campus, on campus? Are you going to be commuting? Keep all your options open. Do keep in mind that campuses provide a variety of living accommodations, from on-campus housing, family housing. There's sometimes special communities that are just for transfer students. So if you're going to be living on campus at your university, start doing your research and find out what they have to offer for you. Most campuses do have transfer specific buildings or sections. So I would highly encourage you to get information about whether or not that's available. And if you're going to be living on campus, try to make sure that you're getting housed with other transfer students. Definitely start exploring all options now, whether it's on campus, off campus. If you're going to be living off campus, you want to make sure that you get out to that area, start looking for apartments, begin to talk to your peers, your friends about rooming together, if that's going to be an option for you. So just begin to think about what housing is going to look like for you in the fall. I'm going to share the UC housing information with you. I'm going to bring it up, so give me just a second, and then I'm going to send it to you in the chat. But the UC has put together a really nice document with housing information. So I'm going to stop sharing, and then I'm going to share that document. Here we go. Okay. So this first page on the PDF is the information I went over a few slides ago. And the second page, where is that? Here we go. So the top part of the first page is the information that I went over a few slides ago, and then the bottom part of this page provides you with information in regards to housing, okay, for all of the UCs. They have housing deadlines, their websites are linked, orientation information, and any summer programs for incoming transfer students. So I will put that in the chat in just a moment. That way you can open it, download it, and save it onto your computers and refer back to it later as you need to. All right, so now I need to share my PowerPoint again. Here we go. All right, I'm going to put it in the chat now. And if you have any troubles with downloading the form, let me know, and we can send it to you directly, but I also mentioned we'll upload it to the C6 website for you to review later. Okay, it's loading. All right, so if you're going to be living on campus, make sure that you're submitting your housing application by their given deadline. And do look over the cost. Okay, what does it cost? And come up with your monthly budget and a semester budget so that you can ensure that all of this is built into your own personal budget for the year. All right, so successful transition to the university. This is what we all want for you to be successful as you transition over. So something I want you to really keep in mind is that you have all of the academic skills and strategies and personal skills to balance academics and your life and all of your other commitments that you have, okay? So keep in mind that you're going to continue to be a student just at another institution, but all of the skills that have helped you be successful up until this point, you have those, okay? You're taking them with you. So continue to implement good time management strategies, good study strategies, work with study groups, make connections so that you continue to be successful. Something I do want you to be aware of is that some students do experience transfer shock. And what that means is that they see a dip in their GPA in either their first quarter or first semester. Okay, to try to avoid this, continue to stay organized and practice good time management skills. Think about what you're doing now for time management and implement those same skills. If you can improve in those areas, make sure that you're working hard to improve your time management skills. But if you already have, some strategies that work really well for you, continue to utilize those. And then if you need to adjust once you're at the university because things are a little different, then you'll adjust. But keep in mind that you bring all of those academic skills and strategies with you. So make connections at your college now and at the university. You want to continue to strengthen and build your network. Keep your mailing and email addresses current here and there. So your current college's portal, make sure that everything's up to date. Check your emails regularly now and your portals as well. Become familiar with the academic environment at the university, okay? So if you haven't had a chance to visit the university that you plan to attend, I encourage you to set some time aside, maybe on the weekend, to go visit and get familiar with the environment around the university, the environment within the university, and also you should have information about what system they're on, if they're on the semester system or the quarter system, and think ahead about how that might be the same or that might be a change for you, right? I think most of us are going from a semester campus either to a quarter or another semester campus. So if you're going from semester to quarter, there is going to be some changes there, okay? So be prepared for that. Try to get involved at your university. There's different ways to get involved. The university will have clubs, different organizations, jobs, internships, or activities that pertain to your major. Stay focused, keep your goals in mind. There's a reason why you're transferring. You have career goals, you have personal goals that you're hoping to accomplish. So make sure that you're staying focused at the university. So your campuses should be providing you with information about their transfer events. Usually campuses will have open houses, spring admitted student days, and typically these happen March and April. And then usually you'll have summer orientations throughout the summer, like June, July, maybe early August, okay? Keep in mind that all of these events and activities that are put together by your universities are designed for you to help you with the transition process, to help you get connected and acquainted. So do make an effort to attend these events and activities that are available. The more you pour into your academic experience, the more you're going to get out of it, okay? So sometimes it's a little nerve-wracking or you might be a little bit uncomfortable attending events like this, but they are put on for you. So go, get connected, gain that experience, gain that knowledge of information that they're going to be providing to you. It's only going to be an asset to you as you move forward in your education. So I highly encourage you that you make it a priority to attend all of the events that are put on for transfer students as you're going to be transitioning to the university. All right, so getting familiar with your university. As you have time, begin to explore your portal. Get on the portal, know what's on there. Do they have a DegreeWorks or a degree planner? Do they have specific contacts that you can connect with for your major or with faculty or advisors? Begin to get familiar with what's on your portal, okay? For now, you know that financial aid should be on your portal. Canvas or Blackboard probably going to be on your portal. Begin to play around with the portal just so that you are familiar with what's on there. I did mention semester versus quarter. Know what type of system you're going into. Research Campus Live. You know, what does a student do at your university? Is there clubs, organizations, activities? What does the campus have to offer? So begin to research and look those things up. I would highly encourage you to jump onto your university's website and begin to dig around to see what they have to offer for you. And then identify who's going to be part of your support network, okay? You might not know exactly who these individuals are, but know that you're going to meet faculty there, right? Your instructional faculty who are teaching your classes. Those are good people to get connected with. Peers, those people in your classes, maybe your roommates. You want to develop good connections. Advisors, staff in admissions, staff in the financial aid office. There's departments specifically for campus life, right? Maybe you're connecting with those folks. So do think about how you can get well connected at your university. So more on getting connected. So all universities have some form of student service or support program. Get connected early on. Like I mentioned, get on those websites for each campus and research what they have to offer. There might be engineering programs, like Cal Poly has the MEP program, which is a multicultural engineering program. That's just one example. There might be STEM specific programs, transfer centers, EOP, which is similar to our EOPS programs at the community colleges, TRIO programs, disability services. So if you have a learning disability and you get accommodations and support, you want to make sure that you're establishing those connections at the university to continue that support. Get connected with faculty and staff. Identify your academic advisor. So at the universities, your majors are part of colleges. So each major is broken off into different colleges, and usually you'll have an advisor or a couple of advisors per college. So you want to make sure that you're getting connected with your advisor. And again, socially, you want to make friends. You don't want to isolate yourself. Join clubs, join organizations, and check out what the surrounding community also has to offer for you. I see something in the chat. Thomas, I will answer that question in a second. Okay, so some important reminders. You are required to submit your statement of intent to register to the UCs by June 1st and CSUs by May 15th. Some CSUs do have a later deadline, so check those deadlines for your campuses and make sure that you're getting everything in on time. If you're required to pay a deposit, make sure that you're paying the deposit. Submit your in-progress transcripts if requested. Apply for graduation and CSU or IGETC certification. Review your financial aid award. Usually it's available now in April. Once final grades are posted, you'll want to make sure that you're requesting final transcripts to be sent into your university by their appropriate deadline. Typically July 1st for UCs, July 15th for Cal Poly, and other CSUs, their deadlines vary. Like I mentioned, attend all of the programming that your university provides. They should be offering orientation sometime in the summer, so make an effort to attend those activities. A few more reminders, okay? Make sure that your FAFSA is up to date. And what I mean by that is that you've included the university that you are planning to attend in the fall. Research spring visitation days, open houses. Get on your campus's website to gather this information. Don't forget that you need to look for housing, research programs and services at your university, and then continue to check your community college portals, emails, and your university's portals as well. Alrighty, any questions? I know I have a question in the chat. So I'm gonna address this question. So when requesting transcripts, do you require CSU or IGETC certification? So if you have completed your CSU general ed or your IGETC general education pattern, and it's been certified, you do want to make sure that you're selecting yes for that to be sent in along with your transcript. If you are not sure if you're completing CSU or IGETC, set up a time to meet with your counselor at your campus, and they will help you with this.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Actually, could you go back 2 pages, please?
Yes. Here?
You submit statement of intent to register. Is that just going into portal and pressing accept?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
It sure is. The UCs have a fancy name for it. Other questions? No? Alrighty, well, thank you all so much for joining today. The recording for this presentation will be provided on the C6 website along with the PowerPoint and the UC document that I provided to you all. I hope you all have a great night and congratulations on moving on to the university in the fall. That's really exciting and I wish you all the absolute best.
Actually,
Yes, Tom.
could you give us the link to the website, please? Or what do you mean by the CSIC website?
Yeah, I'll put the link in the chat. Give me just a second. Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course. Any other questions while I'm bringing this up? All right. So the recording will go under seminars. So here's the link. Bye, Lynette. Thank you for joining. All right, there it is.
Thank you. Bye.
All right.
Thank you.
Of course. All right. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your evening. Bye-bye.